Over the next 10 to 15 years, under the government's Building Schools for the Future programme, every secondary school in the country will have either a brand new or substantially remodelled building. Optimising the learning environment will, it's maintained, optimise the learning potential of every child. The new Whitfield Fish Pond School in Bristol, currently under construction, will open at Easter 2008, the second new school in the country to be built under the Building Schools for the Future programme. It's a huge project for all concerned, including governors. So we're taking Simon Mayers, Chair of Governors at Little Ilford School in Newham, to find out what's been involved.
Newham is in the middle of procuring BSF at the moment. We're in wave 5, which means that we should be having a total rebuild of our school starting in 2009. Very exciting, but very worrying.
So Chris, the new school opening at Easter must be really exciting, but how long have you been involved in this project?
Well, we first found out about it in September 2003, so that's just over 4 years now. Yeah. And I don't think we realised at the time what was involved in those 4 years.
John, it takes a massive amount of work. How do you organise yourselves?
Well, I mean, we set up a Pathfinder task group in about 2004, actually, once we'd been in it for a year. And we shared the responsibility and load, but there were a degree of meetings to go to, large number of meetings to go to, that we basically gave up our time and had to go to.
Now, we're all volunteers. We do it out of the love of education in the school or whatever, but did you have governors who had special skills that you were able to bring into play on this?
Yeah, we did actually appoint one governor, associate governor, who's a town planner and has got a lot of expertise about architecture and things like that, so he was able to spend quite a bit of time on it.
Building Schools for the Future is fundamentally about transforming educational outcomes. A clear education vision must underpin each BSF project. At Whitfield Fish Ponds, drawing up this vision was one of the first tasks of the head teacher, Teresa Thorne, along with the heads of the other 3 schools in the group.
The project team in Bristol, the local authority team, with the head teachers, we facilitated a vision-making day, really, which started it all off, and ultimately arrived at 9 core statements, which were really going to be generic to the whole project.
These statements covered, for example, the learning environment, inspirational design, ICT, and community facilities.
Basically, that process of drawing up 9 statements was the basis on which we took the project forward, and we had to understand how a building that had those features would help us transform learning.
For every Building Schools for the Future project, there's a timeline of main stages which must be followed.
Can you tell me what stages you were most involved in?
Well, after the first few months we were involved with going to the meetings with the bidders and then evaluating the bids. And John went to the fortnightly meetings with the head and the other schools involved in the project.
That was quite a painstaking, teeth-pulling type set of meetings when they started in 2003, really, dotting all the I's and crossing the T's at the services that we would be asking the BSF provider to provide.
How much into the nitty-gritty did you get involved?
Oh, very much so in the bids. I mean, the meetings John's talked about, they looked at what we called the room data sheets, which could send you to sleep, I think. But, you know, every single room had to be evaluated.
Were you involved in the choice of the final, of the winner?
Yes, we spent a day. We were told how to evaluate them, really, and give which areas we were to look at and give them points and work out, you know, who was going to be the best for our school.
Awesome responsibility.
That's right, exactly, yes.
But there is help at hand, provided mainly by the local authority.
Well, local authorities obviously have got to make sure that there are legal advisors, financial advisors, technical advisors and a whole raft of people around who can perform those sort of duties.
It's a massive project, it's daunting, it's very big. Should governors be frightened about BSF?
I think that's a good question. I don't think they should be frightened, but I think they should be wary and cautious and be fully cognizant of the fact that it is a big thing that they're entering into. So they're not going to be able to get involved in every aspect of what's going on. They need to get involved in certain parts, and they need to have perhaps a group of governors who are going to get that sort of level of detail, and then have the confidence to know that they can step back and allow a local authority to do things on their behalf, but in their best interests.
Schools and local authorities don't begin with a blank sheet as far as the design of a new school is concerned. There's a template supplied which can then be modified to suit a school's specific needs and demands.
Okay, so this is the final design. It looks pretty complicated, but I guess the principles must be fairly straightforward, are they?
Yes, they are. Three learning clusters, which are small learning communities in themselves, so science, design, technology, and then the other areas which we would call the general classrooms, which are languages, humanities and maths. All of the circulation is through the central heated street, which runs the length of the school. On this side of the building, the rectangular shapes, we have the large spaces is the best way to describe them. So assembly hall, dining, library, dance drama studios and sports.
One of the other big things that the government was talking about was that we've got to use ICT in a new way, in innovative ways. How have you managed to do that in the new school?
Well, that's a really significant part of the project. From the outset, right through the procurement process, ICT was seen as integral. Part of our project is the construction of a VLE, a virtual learning environment, and a managed learning environment, MLE. A little bit like it's a little bit like a university portal that students have. That your communications with students could be through that means, communication with parents, as well as all the other aspects to learning. So that's the vision.
Then it's off to see how the vision translates into reality.
We come into this just amazing space, which we just hope, if you just look up and get the sense of light and airiness, this is going to really make people feel good when they arrive.
Dramatic
in the morning. It's dramatic, absolutely. And they arrive here in what you'll see is the centre of the street. And if we stop just for a moment and I point out that over there, that is a main student reception. And this is a very special feature of the design because we wanted the youngsters to have, in a sense, their own space, a little bit like a university student welfare services, really.
The central street replaces those endless school corridors and also makes passive supervision much more achievable. Off one side of the street are the large spaces like the dining hall, and off the other, the three learning clusters.
What we've got is a pattern which is common at the entrance of all of the learning clusters. So we have a staff workspace to the left, so the staff can see what's going on in this part of the street. And if you look upstairs as well, that glazed area is another staff workspace. One of the other principles that we wanted to build in was dispersed leadership. So that we've got
your SLT all the way around the school.
And the achievement coordinators. So we've moved past the entrance area now, and as we come into the North Learning Cluster, which is the Design and Technology Learning Cluster, and walking in again to this wonderful space which is designed to have all of the design technology workshops and classrooms around the cluster. Going to walk up now to the first floor. Again, this is common in each of the learning clusters. All of these classrooms are main teaching rooms, apart from the one on the end, which is electronic control. And you'll see...
What sort of subject are they?
We're going to be maths on this level at the moment. And you'll see when we go into the main class, there's the registration point for the youngsters, so they'll swipe their cards on entry. Here we are. But it's one of the general classrooms, all of which are equipped with the same basic spec. In every room now, projection and interactive whiteboard facility. The complete building is wireless. And obviously the automatic pupil registration when they enter, children will swipe with the cards. And
every lesson?
Every lesson.
No hiding place now.
No hiding place. They've just got to remember not to lose their cards, but we shall see about that. So we're walking out onto the bridge now. It just does it.
But it's not like a school as we know it, is it?
No, it's what's so exciting, so exciting.
Another exciting aspect of the design is the sustainability features, which must be embedded in any BSF project.
We've got a number of core sustainability features got natural ventilation. You'll see the cowls on the roof. The school vents can be opened and closed and allow a lot of natural air through. It avoids the use of air conditioning units, so it's a resource efficiency measure. We've also harvesting rainwater from the roof. There's large tanks that's put in the ground. They'll take about 20,000 flushes per week. Plus we've got biomass boilers.
Biomass boiler, it sounds wonderful, but what is it?
Biomass boiler is essentially the same as any other boiler, but it's the fuel that it takes. This biomass boiler will be using wood derived fuel pellets. The wood will come from locally sourced woodlands, so there won't be the CO2 in the transport of the wood here.
One of the key responsibilities of governors in a BSF project is approving and signing the contract between the school and the local authority.
This is the actual document. This is the paperwork involved in getting to there. We had advice from an independent lawyer because the agreement was between us and the local authority, so we couldn't use the local authority's legal advisors for it.
And what does it actually cover?
Everything really, but just down to an example would be vandalism. You know, if it's deliberate vandalism during the school day, it's the school's responsibility, and if it was outside the school day, then it's the contractor's responsibility.
But a lot of it also covers things like how much you're going to pay as well, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. There's 13% top sliced from the school budget.
And you're signing up for your colleagues for how many years to come on that?
25 years.
Yeah, so it's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, you have to take it seriously and read the paperwork and spend the time on it.
So what's been the governor's biggest concern?
I think really it was the amount of time that the head was out of school. There was a weekly meeting that took her away from school from, well, at least almost one day a week. It's her capacity to actually managing the school as well as pushing this project through. And we were able to fund some time for the deputies to act up while she wasn't there, but I mean that was our major concern.
With the project nearly completed, the governors have another set of issues to deal with around moving into the new school.
Obviously staff being ready to pack up what they don't need, but we're obviously mindful of having to keep running the school till the end of term. We've got to work out a plan for that and a phased return of students, but really mindful of keeping
so there's going to be the issues there with the year 11, certainly, isn't there? And probably year 9 for the SATs.
When the new school does open, it will be with a new uniform and a new name.
We did a massive consultation exercise and have come up with the new title for the school, which will be from April the 1st, Bristol Metropolitan College, with a wonderful strapline underneath, Where Worlds Meet. And we think that encompasses the diversity that we see as our strength.
So what does Simon take away with him after his day at Whitfield Fish Ponds?
It's been one of the most exciting days of my life in terms of a school governor. You can see the future. It's going to make kids excited to come to school, want to learn, and that, after all, is, as governors, what we're supposed to be about.